Hello and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting News and the CPS News Network. If you're watching on YouTube at Punish No More and Free to Protect, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Punish for Protecting News on Rumble. Now, without further ado, here is your host, Francesca Amato.
Well, welcome everyone to Punish for Protecting Live broadcast this evening, wherever you're watching from, whether it be CPS News Network, Rumble, Punish for Protecting News, YouTube, Punish No More, or Free to Protect, or anywhere on Facebook. We welcome you tonight. And listen, guys, you want to spread this video. You guys over the years have heard decade after decade the horror stories that are happening in family court and CPS and the police and other venues of government that have been literally harming families. But Punish for Protecting, we have stuck it out with you, and we are literally blowing up everywhere right now. I just literally got another certification through the United States Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, and I have been certified there now. And I have been getting certifications added onto my certifications over just the past couple of weeks. We are literally, I don't want to say literally because I probably can't say it that way, but we are, I don't want to say the words that I was about to say because I know that they just like to censor me and they like to take me down on certain stations. So actually, I'm not going to say what I was going to say because it could sound not what I meant by it. So let me correct myself, but I'm just super excited. I want you guys to spread this message. I'm bringing out a lot of ladies today. I'm also bringing out my chapter leader from Canada today. We're going to show you what we're doing both in the United States and Canada and how we're literally crushing it. I'm not going to say the word I was going to use. We are crushing it. Do you ever get encouragement from any of these people? No, all you hear are one horror story after another. And yes, they do exist. You hear one negatively impacted family after another. And it's not that we don't talk about that stuff, because we do. We bring those stories out so that you can know what's happening in this country and what has been happening for many, many decades. But when do you get encouraged? When do you get to hear good things happening? When do you get to hear that mothers are infiltrating the courts and taking over, that mothers are going to Congress, mothers are joining Punish for Protecting, mothers are standing up for their rights and protecting their children? I mean, I named this Punish for Protecting because I was punished for protecting. And many of you have been punished for protecting your children. Now, again, we fight for you fathers just as much as we fight for mothers, but we have a very strong emphasis on women and children and what has been happening through fathersrights.government, fathersrights.gov, or excuse me, it's called fatherhood.gov, and the facade that they try to play, and they're really what they're doing is they're endorsing domestic violence, even though they try to portray it as if they're not. And what's happening in these courts is that they are ignoring women, and you're going to hear some of the stories today, but you're going to hear the good stuff too. You're going to hear the good testimonies. You're going to hear how we have been getting in there and getting into these courts, and how judges are actually actually in some degree, not in the fullness of it yet, but in some degree, they are doing the right thing. And you see, once we implement your human rights in the Articles of Human Rights, and once we implement your federal codifications under the Americans with Disability Act, we have stuck a monkey wrench in the corruption of the court system. And this is not a system that is broken, my friends. I've been saying this for quite a while, setting this message out. This is a system that was built to destroy the home. Okay. And it is demonic. But without further ado, I'm the first person I'm going to bring out tonight and spread this message, guys. I have been censored terribly over the years. Literally for the past 2 years, I have been viciously censored. And I went from 10,000 views as I would get on to 20 views when I come on. I'm on several stations, as you know, and they just like to silence my voice. That's why I have to scream louder to make you hear me. But my first guest is going to be our very own Punish for Protecting Canada, Ramona Friesen. Hello, Ramona. So great
Hi,
to have you.
Francesca. So
Hi.
excited.
I'm so excited too. And I know that the audience needs to hear about you and about the amazing things that you've been doing in Canada over the past few years.
For sure.
And, you know, you've been through, Ramona, I mean, I just absolutely love you. And you've been through a lot. You have literally suffered and endured a lot. Okay. You know, we didn't, you and I, we advocate for families and, but we've been through stuff. It's not like we're just there, like, you know, mopping
No.
up the floor after somebody. We've lived this nightmare ourselves. You are currently still in the trenches, but
Yes.
yet you've successfully empowered a lot of women in Canada and fathers in Canada. Tell us about it. Tell us what's going on, because you've done some things. You've blown my mind. I'm very happy.
Thank you. Forgive me. I'm fighting a cold today.
Oh, we're going to do great because I have laryngitis. I'm not sick and you have a cold. So this is great.
Perfect. Yeah, we're quite the team. Well, I was going to have a full binder ready, but this is just one stack of many of me fighting, not just for myself, but for countless others. And I had an admin assistant and that fell through the cracks, but thank God I know of someone else that's stepped up to the plate. So basically, my story was that I fled domestic violence from my abusive husband. We were married for 10 years. I stuck it out thinking I took my vows for life and I had to stay under the good Lord and the church, and realized that, wait a minute, I don't have to stay. I don't have to have death threats and be told I'm a piece of, you know what, and everything. And I got the courage to leave. And so long story short, I have 2 music degrees, and I was shocked, absolutely shocked when I went to court. I thought it'd be an easy kind of slam dunk to be able to get custody of my 2 daughters. And that was in 2011. And even with death threats, with disclosures of sexual, physical, mental, emotional abuse, myself as well as my daughters, by my ex-husband, he still got custody. And so it's a God thing that I was able to meet Francesca through a friend of mine here. One of my friends was going through this, and her husband actually handed me the keys and said, "Here, Ramona, you want to be a Canadian children's advocate? Because that's what we're doing." And I was like, "No, thanks. No, I'm good." I hide behind my big old piano, and I don't like public speaking. Well, the good Lord had other plans. So long series of events, I was able to meet Francesca and hook up with her, take a lot of training, learn from her. And basically what we've done, just to catch you real fast, Reader's Digest up to speed, is that a couple of years ago, I actually went to the courts and I heard about something. And there's, he said, she said, there's sovereign, there's, you know, all these different common law, whatever. And I realized I came across this video called War Castles. And along with Francesca's training as well as War Castles, I was like, oh my gosh, these courts are corrupt. They're demonic. They're Freemason. They're satanic. They're not about the children. They're not about the families. They're all about money, money, money. And we have discovered recently in our research that there is literally 200 pedophile judges across Canada alone. And I'm sure that number is higher. As I speak, we actually, if people have heard of Drake, he's a big pop star, and he's actually being investigated and implicated in the murder of a fellow here in Canada with the BlackBerry. I won't get into that. That's not my focus. But basically, we have 2 agents that we work with across Canada that are actually pedophile investigators, the top pedophile investigators. And one of them was thrown in jail wrongfully because he exposed the whole Evergreen thing with the kids being trafficked in the train cars. And so the beautiful thing is that all of this is coming out now. They are in the courts. They've been in the courts these last 2 weeks to expose the judges, CFS, all the rest of that. And so we are actually gaining ground by this one case with Guy Brummel, and he can really say his name. So if you guys remember Guy Brummel, he's a top agent across Canada and has been wrongfully jailed, incarcerated. And so there's so many others. I've had moms that are wrongfully incarcerated. The amazing thing about this, you guys, every time I try to say, well, you know, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work, maybe, you know, the courts are right. I was thinking that up until I met Fran. I have had so many moms and dads come to me and say, oh my gosh, Ramona, I need your way because your way works. Because what we do is we hold these people's feet to the fire and say enough is enough and too much is plenty. For example, in my case, I wrote a letter, and because it says, whereas Canada is built upon the supremacy of God and the rule of law, then I cited some of the scripture verses, and I said, okay, you've broken the law here and here and here. And we also know that we, as in our counterpart, beautiful sister, North American Act, so Canada and the States are actually one and the same under, they try to say, well, we're different jurisdictions, blah, blah, blah. We're actually under the same auspices. Oh, there goes my picture. Anyways. It says it is well with my soul. It's a favorite. I can't hear you, but anyway, yeah.
I said, how did that happen?
I don't know. That was odd.
I think God is reminding us that it is all is well with our souls.
Right? It just literally fell upside down.
Mean, it just started going like this. I turned around to see if my stuff was going to go flying around.
Whoops! There
Come
it goes.
on, guys, that should get an audience going right now.
Right? Excuse me. So fast forward. When we met, there was a couple that said, well, what about the sovereign way? So I went to Edmonton in a snowstorm with my clients, and we sat there and went over all this stuff called sovereignty law, common law, syntax, grammar, etc., etc. So some of that has a place. But the bottom line, guys, is that I have found that Francesca's method works because it's proven. And basically what we are doing is we are putting it back on them and saying, wait a minute, hang on. You guys made these rules. You are our public servants. You have no right to do this to our children. There's no due process of law. There's none of this happening. I've got one mom, I'm in court next week for her, where her 2 little daughters were trafficked by the dad and grandparents. And I am holding CPS accountable. And it's not been an easy road. I mean, I've sat there, I've caught them in perjury, I've caught them in all kinds of things for many, many hours of my time.
And that's just the thing. You're in Canada, I'm here. But, and I, they all do the same thing. That they go to judge school. The judges go to judge school here. Yep. And they tell them if a mother says that there's abuse, they're lying and they're crazy. Automatically, that's what they teach them. So, I mean, and we're going to hear from some of the moms today. And that's what we see. We're seeing that, first of all, how can you do such a thing? How can you falsely accuse somebody that's coming to you for help saying, please protect my child? And then generally speaking, there's like, I mean, if you see the stuff that I've got here, same as you. I mean, I got piles and piles and piles for days because it's not just like, you're just going to just pick somebody and have a 5-minute talk with them. You're looking at the police records of the abuse, and it is, it's not a pie in the sky. This is legit. I'm not saying that there's not some people once in a while, but it's rare in comparison to what's happening. I'm going to actually call in, if it's okay. I'm going to go actually pull in Hannah Rose. She's well, she's a lot of things here. She's United USA chapter leader here in here, but she's also in Virginia, and she's in her car right now. Hannah, did you want to go ahead and say hello and talk a little bit?
Hi, Ramona. Hi, Francesca.
Hi,
it's so good to see you. I'm stuck in my car a little bit because my 3-year-old's asleep, but it's okay. It worked out okay.
I want you
it's so good to see you, ladies.
I want you to talk about what you witnessed in courts. I want you to talk about like what you witnessed in courts, what changes you've seen, what you've heard from the clients, like how bad it was prior to joining with Punish for Protecting and things like that. I want you to talk about what you've experienced.
And that's the most important thing. Like we were saying recently, that there's value in seeing and getting the affirmation that, oh, okay, that's completely me. I relate to everything I'm hearing when we hear the anecdotal stuff from women and just the patterns playing out ad nauseum. But the biggest value is in finding that there is hope in these situations, because a lot of times these women come. In fact, most of the time these women come and they're in the worst possible place they've been. They've been through losing their kids. They've been gagged. They've had 5 billion psych evals. They've been humiliated, the worst possible things. And this is after they've come out of domestic violence situations and then expected that they're going to get helped. And then they get abused worse. So even recently we had a mom that her child was in a home And Francesca coming into the situation, I was able to be in there and observe that with you. It sometimes it's not a lightning fast thing, but
Mhm.
I've never seen anything go south. I've seen pushback and I've seen struggle because you come in, you're starting to look, holding people accountable, and judges don't like that a lot of the time. It changes the paradigm in the courtroom. Opposing counsel or GALs, whatever workers or coordinators and things are involved in those roles, they don't like it. And we kind of come and rattle their cage a little bit, but it always, always, always starts to move. It always does. And I think that's the Lord, a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
But it's
Oh
also
yeah.
it's also the tools. The tools are there. You're coming into these disastrous situations that really are hopeless on paper. And when you hear the stories, and I hear the stories from the ladies, and it can make your heart feel really heavy, even
Right.
just hearing the stories. And you really start to think, Lord, this is like this just can't keep happening. And so sticking your neck out there like you have, and thankfully you've allowed me to come in and do this with you. And this is the tool, especially when you're at the end of the road, like some of these women. Their parental rights have been removed. They can't work. They're in bankruptcies. They are working millions of jobs just to keep off the street and paying ungodly numbers of child support for kids they haven't seen in years. And they're the good parents. I mean, can you think of anything that could lead you to a more hopeless place
Right.
and despair? So we see a lot of people, women on their knees like that. And then they just, things like I said, it never happens fast enough, because fast enough isn't a flash, but it happens. We see these cases turning and people getting hope back and gaining their
And
footing
that
again.
one you were talking about, Hannah, I think that was the one that you did with me in Brooklyn, New York. Is that right? Is that the one that you saw?
Where are they? Oh gosh,
The
I
one
usually
where
remember the
the judge,
places.
the one that you saw where the judge like lined up with the ADA and asked me if he followed it correctly. Were you
Oh,
involved?
that one. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, that
Oh, okay.
wasn't Brooklyn.
Oh,
Yep, that was Brooklyn. That was last week. Yes, yes. That is exactly right. And for me to hear the judge, so that was the first time I actually got to hear a judge say that. He
and just
was very attentive to it.
encourage people, encourage them right
Mhm.
now. What did you see? Because we know we don't see this. We never see
Right.
this.
And I've heard it a lot. I've heard of it through you. For some reason, that was my first time hearing a judge. I
You're
mean,
so,
repeatedly, like he kept bouncing back to you, ping, ping, right back to you every time. Everybody on in the court hearing was very uncomfortable, shifting in their seats, and well, and weirdly in some cases, but and the mom was very calm, and that's a big part of it. The mother was very calm and relaxed and poised and articulate and clear. And a lot of that, I mean, this lady is anyway. They're all amazing women,
amazing
but
women.
it creates an atmosphere of relaxation, like the calm. Like, I know Francesca's there. I know people are watching, and they're going to say the things that need to be said when they need to be said, and they're going to have the composure and the articulation and the backing of the law to say that. And the judge, yeah, he bounced back to you multiple times, wanting to make sure that everything was copacetic as far as the ADA was concerned. And he had a couple punchy moments, but then he even backed away from those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he was courteous, though. He wasn't
He
like
was. He was.
I appreciated him, and like I said, I'm going to be educating through Nova soon,
Mm-hmm.
the ADA to these judges, which is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It's taken a lot of years to get here. Of course, we all agree, and I muted you for a second there because I knew you were coughing, and I hope you don't mind. I do it too, so I just want to say this. Just we came here tonight to encourage you. This is just a small
Yes.
portion of our team. There's more of us. There's more frontline people, and there's some that like to just stay kind of like way behind the scenes. But we've seen. I mean, we've seen the insanity without God, and we all feel the same. We're all Christians here. If
Yep.
you're not a Christian, we welcome you anyway. I'm
Yes.
here for human rights and the articles of human rights that we follow. Okay. And that's, this latest certificate. I'm very, very, very honored to have been a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
This was a scholarship program. Hannah's taking it too shortly, I believe. And this is a very powerful tool now because it's out of Washington, D.C. Like I said, this has opened up the door to huge, huge breakthrough. Okay. The ADA stuff that I am an expert at, I've done this over the years. Like I said, I tell people, I don't say this to be cocky. I say this because this is your saving grace. God is first in our lives. God is first, but he gives us these tools, and these tools match up really with the Bible, because what it is that these tools line up with the foundational protections that we have. So your human rights you're born with. Nobody can give them to you. Nobody can take them away. You have the right to be not a slave. It doesn't matter your color, your race, your religion. Okay. You have the right to be not tortured. Now, people think sometimes the right to not be tortured. So that means I can't be put into scalding hot water, and I can't be, no, it means they can't take away your children.
This is worse.
How many times do you hear somebody say, I feel like I'm being tortured right now?
This
torture. It's an unseen blind torture. It's a type of a torture that someone can't see what they're doing to you. Okay. If they come and they court observe, they'll say, wow, that just was not a right decision, but was that correct under the law? Okay. No, it's not. And so when we can monkey wrench them, when we can get in there and they're supposed to let me speak, I'm a third party intervener or an interpreter. This is all federal codification law. Okay. I have the right to do this. I have the right to do this. They do not have the authority, period, to grant or deny my access.
No.
They think they do. They wouldn't do it to a person in a wheelchair. I'm sorry. The judge has to see.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get approval for that. Yeah. Well, it's like, remember we were on the phone this last Saturday, and you kept saying they can't do that. They can't do that. We're talking about ADA as it applies to the courts and just the laws, statutes in general. And he kept saying, you keep saying they can't do that, but they do that. Right. That's exactly the point. They're doing all kinds of things that they can't do. That's exactly the point. He was making your point. But that's the reason that we're saying they can't do that, because what we're saying is they're not adhering to the laws.
That's
and
right.
So that's what we're trying to openly talk about.
And if we don't go in there unafraid, if we don't go in there, I'm respectful. Am I not respectful when I'm in there?
Always. And you and I both can get really fired up and be really, 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 big personality people. No, but you always calm down and have a softer tone. You're always respectful. No, always. It's noteworthy, and it makes a difference. It does.
Well, and it makes a difference, but then, also at the same time, like we'll talk about Deidre's case right now. Ulster County Family Court is completely denying her rights. They're denying ADA access. They're denying ADA reasonable accommodations. They're misinterpreting ADA reasonable accommodations. Hannah and I are going to be back on Slam the Gavel, by the way, on the 21st, I think. And
23rd.
And you really want to watch and hear that interview, because we're going to get very deeply in it. I just have more guests tonight that I want to bring out and touch on, and I wanted Ramona to kind of add a little more too.
Yeah,
I knew limited time, but I'm kind
of.
It
shows the borderless nature of this whole thing.
What
Ramona's confronting. It's not different than it is here. It's not different. It's not different really anywhere.
Viciously corrupt. It's viciously corrupt. So Ramona, she's about to cough. And
I'm okay. Yeah.
So Ramona, talk more about some of the things you've seen, positive things that I know you've had a lot of successful stuff happening.
Yes, we have. So a couple of years back, had this one couple I was working with, had they not been fraudulent on their documents, they would have got their children back. Unfortunately, they committed fraud on the documents. But I have never, in my how many years of going through this, since 2011, when I lost custody of my children, and there, by the way, there's a court order that precludes me from going to the authorities, even though my daughters have disclosed sexual, mental, emotional, physical abuse, come back with fractures, bruises, 42 urinary tract infections. It's like, oh my good Lord. And I have all the proof from the doctors, everything. And so anyways, it was amazing to see the children's lawyer, 3 of the CFS, we interchangeably use that name here. The judge himself put his head in his hands and went, oh my good Lord, I'm done, because this mom and dad went in and said, this is who we are. We are free people. These are our biological, not property, but they said they are our biological offspring. We have a right to raise them. And I have never seen anything like it. It was just like a movie. It was just like slow. And at first, the judge, he regained his composure and he said, okay, arrest them. Ramona and so-and-so, the mom and dad. And the bailiff came over And as we started talking, the dad just asserted his rights. I asserted my rights, and mom did too. We had a placard, a lanyard around our neck that stated who we were, and part of the Canadian human rights, the Bill of Rights. And by the end of it, these guys were escorting us out to protect us from the children's lawyer, from the judge, and from CPS and CFS. It was incredible. And then at the end, we had probably 12 cops down in the main lobby saying, "Oh my gosh, we've never seen a more peaceful protest. Who are you? What are you doing? Family court has never been so civil, so peaceful." And in my own case, I wrote a letter to the judge who did so many errors in law. And I'm no lawyer. I mean, I've studied justice, psychology, criminology, human trafficking, all of that stuff, and ab psych, and married to a psychopath narcissist. So
That's funny.
right?
That's the best education there is.
Yeah, right? And it's amazing because this works. The fact that we are standing up, and the letter itself, I called him out on all the things, and suddenly he recused himself. He said, given the circumstances, I have to recuse myself. No, you don't, Sunshine.
Wow.
It's because I called you out. And what we're doing next, I can say this in a real quick, 30 seconds or less, is that we have contacted Pastor Archer Pulowski. He's the pastor, if you've heard of him, Street Church in Calgary, who's been incarcerated many times, he and his brother, and Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson. So what's happening is we're actually putting together something called a children's convoy, and we would love, kind of like the truckers convoy.
Yes.
We would love to partner with you guys in the States to bring children home. And it's kind of like compassion.
Listen up, truckers.
Right? Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So thank you. So the Lord laid this on my heart. I couldn't sleep, and I get visions, and I'm not hearing voices. This is legit.
Okay? You don't have to worry about us.
Wait,
We're not looking at you sideways.
Let me say something. The Bible says, "My sheep hear my
voice." Good point.
This is
Thank
not
you,
a mental
sisters.
illness. I'm an ABA.
No.
Right?
It's not a mental illness.
No, exactly. So that being said,
that voice, that inner voice inside of you, everybody has it. Even Jiminy Cricket.
good one. Yes. So that, and then also I wrote a song called "When a Baby Smiles." Heaven's in her eyes, and all the hard times seem to disappear for just a while. And then the second verse is, the day finally came, we had them in our arms again. And I haven't seen my one daughter in 2 months because of parental alienation with my ex-husband. Lied to my daughters and said that basically I had abandoned them, which is not true. And I didn't have a place for all of their stuff, so I had to drop it off somewhere. And so he did a bunch of lying and all that kind of stuff. But the beautiful thing is I'm actually working with people that have, what you think about, you bring about. What would you speak out? Watch your words. And speaking out, scripture, speaking out, even what the law itself says. So that being said, this is not a push for me, but this is Warrior in White. This is the CD that the good Lord gave me. I'm a piano player.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's make it big on the screen. Hang on.
Yeah.
No, I want to push this. This is great.
Yeah, push it.
What does it say? Warrior. Oh, this is perfect for the program. Warrior in White.
Oh, wow. That's great, Ramona. Wow.
About tonight is women.
Yeah, somebody called me that. And my daughter designed this, Gracelyn, the one I haven't seen in 2 months. She designed this, and she says, "Mommy, there's an eagle right here. There's the beak."
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing.
So on this CD.
Are you near your piano right now?
Am I what?
Are you near your piano right now?
I am.
Why don't you go ahead and kick it up? Come on.
That's a great idea. Kick it up.
And sing
Pick one out.
Yeah. And then we're going to bring out, and then very shortly, as she's doing that, as she's preparing, we're going to be bringing out Dr. Lynn Stevens. We're going to be bringing out Jackie Kent, Amy Palacio. She's going to talk about some encouraging things that happened in her court hearing. So stay tuned. And here we got Ramona from Canada's Punish for Protecting. She's about to play some beautiful music for us.
Just give me 1 second.
We'll be.
I'll just. Okay. Can you guys see the piano?
We can see, and I'm going to mute while you do that.
Okay. I'll sing this song. I don't have much of a voice tonight, but I'll do what I can. It's funny how God works in mysterious ways.
He sure does.
I wrote this for Gracelyn. She had a cyanotic episode 2 days after I gave birth to her. She stopped breathing. And so God gave me this song. So here we go.
was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And you, boy, you can really play too. Really can.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and thank you for that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring out Dr. Lynn Stevens, a doctor that's going through this also. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like whoever you are, you're a mom and you're a protective mom, right? Here, let's hear what's going on, Dr. Lynn. What's going on? What's going on? Tell us about it.
Hi. So yeah, it's what you guys saying was completely spot on. It's not about the safety of the children. And they made it sound like it's all about, divorce, he say, she said. And but my case, we didn't even have like our case already finalized in Oregon. And when I went to Oklahoma, the dad withheld my daughter from me for like 2 months straight. Every time I say I need to see my daughter, and he's like, "We'll talk about it next time." And so he withheld, and I called the cops multiple different times for help because he's like 3 times my size. I'm very thin and skinny, and they didn't help. They're like, "We have joint custody," but they didn't help. They're like, "Just go hire a lawyer." And finally, I went to the court, and instead of punishing him, they give him every other week, even though I was the sole caretaker of the child since birth, and physically taking care of her, financially taking care of her, like everything, and I was even taking care of him. And then multiple contempts of courts by him, multiple abuses reported, not by me, because I'm not like, oh, I'm not here to fight custody. I'm just like, so people call and DHS involved in 2020s, a whole bunch of reports by I found 5 different calls before they actually opened investigation from 5 different people across the different states, because he was transporting my child in a semi truck, locked her up for hours, unknown amount of time. And one of the ladies say she disclosed to her that he made her swim naked, swim around people with naked men in swimming pool, and they tried to touch her, and she ran away, and all these things. When the investigation was done, the caseworker typed a long report, because she was one of those fighter like you guys. She
Yeah.
purposely joined DHS to fight, but it's very rare because you're putting yourself at risk, not getting promoted, not getting all these things. But she typed a long report, and I found out later they truncated the report, completely truncated, like delete everything and unsubstantiated abuse against dad. And I got accused of
They redacted everything, meaning they pulled the
Well,
words.
they delete, like she sent an actual report, and they delete everything, and like,
Yeah.
like it's as if nothing was documented. And
This is what.
and they accused me of failure to protect, even though I was
Wait.
good.
They accused you of failure to protect your daughter from who?
From my ex, even though
But the court gave him the child.
yeah, like every other week.
How does that
And he doesn't live with me.
make it make sense?
Yes.
Make that make sense.
And the child didn't even live in the same house with me, like every other week. We're divorced already.
Right.
So and
Right.
for me, that case, I got involved because I was accused of failure to protect. And at the end of the investigation, they gave me $18,000 bill with my lawyer, and I'm the innocent one. And then,
And I mean, let's talk about something also, because I've seen the before and after pictures, and it's heartbreaking. And we're not going to put that on the screen today. We'll save that for some time, though. But you are a doctor. What is your doctorate in?
Oh, I'm a DO, Doctor Osteopathy, meaning like an MD plus. You use your hands and do musculoskeletal. The whole fix everything, the roots of the problem, and I'm like family doctor, so kids and adults. So I know what abuse are, and I know what psych diagnose. I diagnose people with psych, and I treat them, and I'm counseling them. I give them medicine. I do the whole 9 yards, and then so. But anyway, after that, I ran out of money because $18,000 bill. And, I just like walk
Right.
away because I'm like, I'm not going to deal with you guys because you guys are not helping children. And then turn around next year, my daughter disclosed to me this time
Mhm.
that she, get sexually abused by her dad and continue to beat her worse than before. And now starting also to choke her pets in front of her. And she's very scared for her life that she may be strangulated next. I didn't know what to do. I called the child psychologist, and he said, "Well, don't call DHS. They didn't do anything. Like last time, they're going to erase everything. So, so call the police," which I did. And for now, they didn't really call in anybody, and then they told me I should call DHS, and so finally I did because I was scared of being accused of failure to protect again. And instead of investigating him, the lady showed up at my house, uh, and then later flipped the narration around and then accused me of abusing the child, uh, and took my daughter away. Say that I'm immediate danger to my child, without telling me the details how, and then also accused me of being mentally ill, even though all my doctors all these years have no concern for me, and I have a doctor's note that even say that, and I have an active medical license. If you're crazy, you should you couldn't practice, and they wouldn't say good standing.
Right.
Whatever I told her in my house, my husband was watching over the camera.
Mhm.
Um, so he saw the whole thing where
Mhm.
I give her all the evidence, all the stories, all the past affidavits, evidence of abuse by father, and you know, um, she didn't write any of that down. And then she just brushed it off and she say, "Well, according to your daughter," this is me mocking her voice.
Right.
She told me that uh, that that child is very scared of you and never want to see you again and only want to live with daddy.
Which
And
we know that. I mean,
you
I know.
can, you can pull up the pictures I share,
I
the
already.
drawings.
I already. I hear this all the time, every day,
Mm,
24/7, every county, every state, what they're doing to women and children, what they're doing to mothers and children. You know,
yeah. So
it's a
while
big
I talk, you
pocket.
can share the screen, the drawings. I love you, moms.
Yeah.
So and then she said that I forced her to sing all these songs, "I love you, mommy," and to
Mhm.
force her to write all these
Mhm.
drawings of "I love you, mommy," but it's written from the school. I cannot force it from the school, from the
Right.
church, and and she brings it home. And we
Mhm.
even have written sworn statement from the teachers, the school directors, the child psychologists, all have specific details of
Of
events of abuses by dad,
right.
of neglect by dad, child endangering, medical, mental, emotional, school neglect, dental neglect, like all these things. And the HS caseworker ignored it.
Intentional.
And
Intentional.
they didn't even put his name on the report to say, that to be investigated, to be unsubstantiated. His name is not even there. It's only my name. And then she put substantiated for abuse.
Right. Right.
Can you believe that?
It's just it's. I mean, I wish Hannah
Right.
stayed on longer. She couldn't, but like we have literally reversed that in every single case that we've had. That when they literally, I've had cases, and like I said, I wish Hannah was here. Case where I went in where they had, like they had teams meetings with CPS where they were accusing somebody of abuse, and then we'd be in the teams meeting. All of a sudden, everything just changed. Like the
Mhm.
case was going this way. Well, I should say the case was going this way. Then I got involved, and Hannah couldn't get over it, and everything just got changed. People that were lying were taken out. New
Yeah.
people have been placed in now, and the case is going positive. In your case, though, they literally have kind of stonewalled you. They won't allow anybody into the court. They won't allow.
They
So
block you, and even though I already have, American Disability Act accommodation paperwork filled out, and you also filled it out for me. everything done right, and they still block you out.
Now they're going to have to answer. Now they're going to have to answer. Now we've got them. We're not going to talk about that here. I don't want to talk about what we've done here because
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk about that here. But they're going to have to answer now to all of that, and that's $75,000 per violation, up to $150,000 per violation that they're going to have to not just answer to, but they're going to owe to,
Mhm.
and then the Department of Justice, they're done. And I have other courts that do that too, like Ulster County Family Court, and they there's the authority over that is the federal codifications under the ADA. It's very simple. You shouldn't have to fight for those rights. They are your rights, and they're violating them. And so they're in trouble, and that's what's going to happen. And they're in big trouble without getting. I don't want to get into that too much.
Yes, and they also colluding with guardian ad litem too.
Always, including with the guardian ad litems or the
Yes,
child.
he lies completely. He act like there's no abuse history. There's no
They do.
DSS investigation ever from last year against dad, like as if he had memory loss.
It's intentional. It's intentional.
Yes.
Let
And
me
then they made me pay child support
ask-
for a child I don't get to see since December 3rd.
Right. How could it be even close to? This is it's mind blowing. But as a doctor and a doctor of family practices and then like children, I'm just curious about this. This is a question I've never asked you, so I don't know. But
Yeah, go ahead.
have you had other families that have come to you where you're seeing abuse with a child and a family being treated this way too? Have you had anybody say, Dr. Lynn, this is happening in my family? Have you seen this with other families? I guess is what I'm saying as a doctor.
I've seen it secondhand when I was in the Navy and before I came to Oklahoma. Um, and I've seen it outside of clinical setting with other family in Oklahoma multiple different times. And right now, I've witnessed active baby kidnapping of other good Christian moms who live righteously, who love their children, and they
Live
just take the child with no proof, no believable evidence, nothing. It's just pretty much putting words into the child's mouth, and
right.
and also signing away your rights with behind your back. They would hold meetings without me there and say that I waive my right to contest and that I agree that I abused my child. I'm like, I wasn't even there, and then they say I agreed
Well,
that
let's
to
talk
give
about
my child to the abuser.
let's talk about it real quick because we have to go to an intermission and then I got to bring more guests out. But let's talk about that real quick. So, any court of law anywhere under your due process rights and under your rights, period, you under your articles of human rights, you have the right. You are innocent till proven guilty. That's how it is. You're presumed innocent till proven guilty. But in the family court or when it's a CPS involvement, and they're doing all that twisting as if we're stupid and as if they actually think they have this kind of power over us that they really don't have. Okay, it's a very pseudo temporary power, but it's fake power. It's a fake authority. But because they're in direct violation. They're in direct violation like a thief, like a robber, like a doctor that's a malpractice, like a lawyer that's it's malpractice. But
Oh, I forgot to say that. Yes, I called DHS before on behalf of elderly patient, and
oh,
pretty much like actual abuse, and they always return the adult back to the family because it's real abuse. Then they give it back. But when it's
100%.
false abuse, they would take the child because the child is happy, healthy, beautiful, with no immediate danger. And all my doctor's friends who are pediatricians also testified to that and told me about the horrible, horrific cases. And
Right.
that's in Oklahoma.
Well, what I was trying to say to you, okay, so when it has these DSS fake nonsense going on, they force people to plead guilty, okay? And they force people to say they're guilty for something they didn't do, or they give, and you know how in criminal courts they'll give like a plea bargain. That's not, I would never, ever, if I'm not guilty for something, I'm not guilty. If I didn't do something, I didn't do it. I'm not going to pay a fine for it. I'm not going to, lose another right to protect you accusing me of something that I didn't do. How dare you? And so that's why I'm doing this video tonight with mothers and so on and so forth, because some things may still seem a little negative or whatever, and we're taking people out of the darkness, so to speak. But we're fighters. We're not going to sit back and just take this. Dr. Lynn, you're not just going to take this, are you?
No, like screaming, no, I'm not guilty of all these times. And that's why they fixed my signature somewhere and they copied and cropped, probably photoshopped it and put on a piece of paper. And they
Yeah.
never allowed me to have my DHS records, despite I put open record request, despite I email all the echelon, all the way up to the department head of legal department of DHS. They still haven't given me a copy of my DHS records that against me. They're directly accused parent.
Right, because they can't. And I would go after them for false allegations in every state is a penal crime. So I would go after them for that too. But we'll talk more about that. And I appreciate you being on. Ramona's got some more that she's going to share before this program is over today. Dr. Lynn, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk more. We'll elaborate more because we are doing some stuff behind the scenes that we're, like I said,
Thank you for your help, and
they're very held accountable.
God will always fight for me, I believe, for the children, and with prayers we will win against evildoers.
100%. And I believe that God has shown us that we are infiltrating these courts now. We are taking over in our rightful places. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are watching, get ready because we're about to have an intermission. Please, sorry about that. Please just hang on, and at the end of the during the intermission infomercial, you're going to be able to excuse me, let me just make sure that I find it here. During the intermission, you're going to be able to see how you can get help.
We'll be right back after a message from Punished for Protecting Incorporated. Each new generation of protective mothers is shocked when they first go to family court and find it doesn't favor single mothers and is willing to jeopardize children. Francesca's harrowing experience with the broken family court system, from which she finally received justice after 8 months of struggle, is proof that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Francesca has one of these unspeakably cruel cases and has responded by shining a large spotlight on widespread failures so other mothers won't be shocked. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court by Francesca Amato Banfield, advocate, mother, whistleblower, founder, and TV talk show host of Punished for Protecting. If you are struggling with injustices wrought by our courts, this book will help guide you through the process. Available on Amazon.com. Search Punished for Protecting and get your copy today. Help abolish family court by purchasing Punished for Protecting merchandise. Here are our top sellers. See the link in the YouTube video description to find out how to get your Punished for Protecting t-shirt. Get your high-quality Punished for Protecting t-shirt while supplies last, and let everyone know that you stand for justice. Are you being re-victimized by the family court system? Do you need help with your case? Go online and book a talk with Francesca. Go to punished4beingAparent.com/book-a-talk. Fill in your name, email address, and message to Francesca. Someone will get back to you within 24 hours. Francesca and her staff of volunteers continue to work tirelessly every single day for parents and children who are in need of their help. There have been multiple success stories, including Francesca's, which gives hope to others in similar situations. Punished for Protecting Incorporated has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with zero funding to help families get their children back or to save their children from being taken. We also have provided funds to help with retainers, food, lodging, and travel. We really need your help so we can continue to provide our many services. Any amount is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to donate or sponsor a family in need of help, go to Cash App, Free the Children. And now back to our broadcast.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with my guests, Amy Palacios and Jackie Kent. I know that there's viewers here that are watching and saying they need help, and so the reason, sorry about that, somebody called in. This is the reason that we bring other guests on, people who have experienced what it's like having Punished for Protecting, help them in the processes and what they're going through. And I am definitely reading all your comments, everyone. I see, the things that you're saying, and I look forward to. If I don't get to see it during the lives, I do definitely go back and read it all later for you guys. And as you can see, there is help available. Why don't we start with you, Amy? You have been a client for a couple of months now. Matter of fact, you and I got to be on Slam the Gavel together recently. Because what we want to do, and we're also all Christians, there's more Christians here. We all have faith. We all put God first in our lives. And that's the most important thing. But how has Punished for Protecting helped you? And what was your case like? And what is your case like now in the past 2 months?
It definitely has decreased a lot of stress for me. And change the judge's behavior. I have multiple judges in my case. I have 2 ex-husbands that are working together. The same crooked lawyer has been bouncing back and forth between the different courts, really, with all 3 different judges. And really, it has been a voice that a lot of times they will hush me, not let me talk, not let me even finish my sentences or even have a case whatsoever. It'll just be a couple sentences of whatever they decide and not even have a hearing. So I had a full-blown hearing, and I've never even really had a full hearing to defend myself from when my kids were initially taken. I've never even defended myself on that part. So the one hearing that they let you in, the other hearing, they didn't let you in, my first judge, but my third judge, he didn't let the sound come on, but it was another short, abrupt kind of thing where they just talked and kind of did what they were going to do. But they didn't let the Jay White bring in an extra whole, he had told my lawyer that they were going to try to put me in jail that day for contempt, or that I still hadn't followed through with paying this $85,000. And the judge did say over and over again, and that lawyer that was a free lawyer for that part, she didn't come because she was in a jury trial, and she said, this didn't have to do with me. What you were going to court for wasn't on what he wrote me to. So he said over and over again, the judge, that he was not going to hear anything else but what was supposed to be done that day. So that's the first time ever. Usually Jay White takes over the trial, even if I'm there for something that I had filed a motion for. Usually the other side will take over the trial and just do something totally different.
So the first success was that you actually had a trial. The second part of that success was that he was restrained basically from infiltrating it any further. And then the third piece of success was that the contempt was dismissed.
Right.
And then there was one more great thing that happened though with the Department of Justice and my ADA forensic reports in your protection. What happened there? Because that's a big one. That's a very amazing one for encouragement that people need to hear.
Well, I know they opened the Department of Justice actually let me be heard. At first, they weren't even going to let me. The first Judge Cloninger, for child support, didn't even let you in the hearing and said that this doesn't have anything to do with ADA accommodations, but yet they slapped me with a almost $3,000 a month child support bill. And
Article
then
6 of the human rights are that all rights are not only equal, but they're everywhere. They're not one place or another. But go ahead. It's a shame. Like these are courts. These are courts that are
Yeah.
supposed to be following the law. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was a success that after they had written these letters saying that you couldn't even be in there virtually, that all of a sudden this other judge, Christy Wilhelm, she did let you in and she did follow the rules and she did, let the hearing stop at times and let you speak or let me have a break or whatever it was. And they were trying to put me in jail for not doing yet another psych evaluation when it's been 2 decades of this. And I've, never been diagnosed with anything that I couldn't have my kids for. And I take no psychiatric meds whatsoever. And I'm just like Lynn, I'm a provider and I'm over, at one point I was over up to 300 old people and, other children. And I have, 6 children total and have sole custody of the younger 2, but yet the older ones, my first ex-husband is trying to act like I'm crazy and can't, take care of them. But I, can take care of buildings full of patients and 2 other children that I have sole custody of.
One of the things that she did also from the letter and from me putting the federal codification of the fact of invasive testing and repeated psych evals, she stopped that right away. That stopped. And then the other thing was, so there's like 6 good things that happened here. And then the other thing was that, isn't he kicked out now of the Department of Justice, or what happened with that? There was something, I remember you said it in the last interview.
So
forgive me because I hear so many.
I don't know, within the time that you filed the stuff with the Department of Justice, Jay White has been stepped down. So he is over.
Stepped down. Yeah.
He got stepped down from being over the county contract, which the county contract got to filter all the bar complaints. So he's over the school board still. He's still over DSS child support. He's still over DSS child welfare. He's still the main criminal attorney in the county, and he's still doing civil stuff also. But something about his county contract was taken over by a different guy 3 weeks ago. So it was the main thing that I heard, that he was filtering all the bar complaints because of that position. And so now all the complaints about him should be able to be heard.
Yes. And you're in North Carolina, and Jackie,
yes,
you're in North Carolina. Let's talk about your case because people are following your case as well. What's going on? Because we haven't been able to really step in yet. But what's going on? Because now you need me to step in, girl. You need me to step in. I'm getting ready. I'm going to go get my son's boxing gloves.
I think her mute's on.
Oh, unmute. Unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Go for it.
Perfect. I do need you to step in. You're exactly right. So basically, I was in court last week, and just like Amy, I had to pass a psych eval, and I totally passed it. My attorney had my Dr. Lisa Long in there, who did my evaluation and who completely cleared me, no matter how many times the opposing counsel tried to make me look crazy. Also, Counsel for Children's Rights, they're kind of like guardian ad litems. They were just hammering Lisa to try and make me out to be unfit and as crazy as possible. But she thankfully stood her ground. She completely cleared me. And then yet my attorney asked for more time because right now I'm only getting every other weekend with my son. And she just basically ignored it. Judge McThenia, she just said, I'm not talking about that. I'm not giving you any more time. So my ex was supposed to do his psych eval and a substance abuse evaluation because he's a severe addict still. And his attorney kept standing up and stating that although he makes $3,000 a month with work, that he couldn't afford the $5,000 test when they did not give me any time to save up money. The last judge, Judge Smith, I had was basically like, you have to take this test and you have to complete it and pay for it up front in the next 2 months. I never got any type of break, any leeway. And Judge McPhenia was like, well, that's fine. I'll give him 4 months to save up for it. So he doesn't have to take anything. There's still, after 3 years, has not been a single court-ordered drug testing, 0 fitness tests, anything like that. And then my family actually stepped up and stated, well, we want him to take this test because what it's going to come out is, we're pretty positive it's going to come out that he's either unfit or he has some issues he needs to take care of before parenting our son. And Judge McPhenia is trying her hardest to not make him take that test. And her whole thing is just delay, delay, delay. So my parents said, is it okay if we front the cost of the $5,000 and then my ex can just pay it back in February or March, or we even throughout April, he could pay us back so he could start taking it right away. And this was after CFCR and Judge McPhenia both stated they did have concerns and wanted him to take it immediately. So my lawyer asked yesterday, and Judge McPhenia said, no, we can't front the cost. And so it was 100, it's now sealed the deal to everyone. It is nothing but bias and corruption.
Yeah. Council for Children's Rights. So I started off in Mecklenburg County, and then now I'm in Cabarrus County 10 years later doing the same thing. Rights actually helped put me in jail for not doing a psych evaluation when I had already done like a.
They can't do that.
They did it.
I know they did. I know. That's what Hannah was saying earlier before you came out.
Yes.
Is that, yes, don't forgive me, and please understand what I'm saying here. They're doing what they can't do. I'm not saying they're not doing it, but they can't do this. Now I'm reading this girl's here, right here, Crystal. My cousin was forced to sign her rights to her kids to DHS to be adopted out without a lawyer at all. They can't do that. Hold on. Somebody else wrote, very important. I just want you to hear this. There's a reason. She said, where is it now? I got to scroll through. There's a lot here. I can't find it. But somebody else basically said, I would never do it. Thank you for saying that. I would never do it. I have yet to sign one document yet. My electronic signature is present. Also, that the majority of actions have indeed been ex parte. You know,
right. All of my actions.
You got to stand up for your rights if you have to yell. I'm not. Yes. I'm serious. Like, if I can't get it out in my mouth, what happened? Amy's a good example. First court, child support court claims that I'm not supposed to be there because the ADA doesn't apply there. You sound like a moron. Okay. Right. So then I do a forensic and I get the letter in, and then the next judge is watching every P and Q, and I was waiting for her to bring muffins out for everybody. She was so kind to everyone. Literally, like, you'll never hear me talk good about a judge. I'm the person that exposes them all. Now I've had 3 amazing judges in 3 weeks. Okay. So why? Because if you can't get it out of your mouth, you get it in an affidavit and you get it in that court. Okay. Yes. And if you don't know what you're doing, find somebody. If you can't get to me, find somebody who does, because we're not going to tolerate this anymore. This has gone on for decades. It's gone on for decades. And we have the authority. We are the authority, not just because I say so, because our foundational laws are very clear. You're born with them. They can't take them, and they can't give them away. They can't give them to you. They can't take them, and they just can't. Now they do, but if you continue to fight, and I heard there was a man, his name is Michael something, from California, and he's doing what I'm doing, and I'm very proud of him, and I want to meet him because this is very, very powerful. And he stands up to these people in court. And, you know, like I said, I go in respectfully. I was respectful in your court, but I make sure I say what has to be done. And I know the law is right here. It's here. So I know them. I don't have to read them. I know them. Okay. Yeah. If you're violating it, I'm going to tell you. Okay. And if they say to me, what authority do I have? I'll say, what authority do you have? You know, exactly. I have the authority that we're born with. This is it. And plus I got more behind myself, but you have the right to say this is wrong. If you feel something is wrong that's happening to you, chances are your conscience is telling you something. You're right. Okay.
As they say, we're crazy. Every time we say this is wrong, something you're doing is not right, they say we're crazy and we're the ones that are lying. And you were a witness to that. Like, they literally had Jay White was in and out of my hearing for my child support court, walked in and out of the hearing, talking to the other lawyer, Goldberg. He was court ordered not to be a part of all my hearings, right? And you were witness that Goldberg sat on stand in the trial that you got to hear, and sat on stand and said Jay White did not even come into the courtroom that day. Just full-blown lied and said it was a total different person standing there, a total different person talking.
And it was obvious to me that it was him. Like, it was obvious to me by the whole, just any reasonable human being observing that, not knowing anything about your case, would have known automatically that precisely what you were saying was 100% the truth. Okay. And it also caused you to feel triggered because you did phenomenally well. And then when it got to the point where you had to question him, when you had him on the stand, you were clearly triggered because he was lying, and it was frustrating you so much that he's sitting here lying under oath like that. And it was
and she wanted me to put me in contempt for saying he was lying too, which at first she said I was in contempt, and all the bailiffs started walking over to me like they were going to put me in jail or something. And then she goes, well, I'm just going to give you a warning this time.
I think she forgot I was there for a minute. And then she's like, oh, never mind. I mean, these things are just sick. I want to know, like, if you asked them, if you had a conversation with these people and you said to them, what law are you following? On what authority are you following? They cannot answer these questions. So they just slither like a snake in and out. They just twist up like a snake in and out. Okay. But
yes.
My fear right now though is I have the same issue as Lynn, like this large amounts of money, the $3,000 in child support a month, this $85,000, all these that I'm supposed to pay equitable distribution to my second ex-husband that beat me up and was in jail for 6 months and beat a police officer up, has 2 convictions of assault, and has only supervised visitation, but I'm supposed to pay him $85,000, and he doesn't pay child support or anything. And so the crazy thing is this, they're all threatening me that, and my kids are even saying it, my older kids to me, that I'm going to get put in jail if I don't pay this money, and they're going to have all 6 of my kids. And so Jay White has, all this fake paperwork that you're talking about, that signing kids over, because it's happening everywhere. All these kids that lost their children to DSS are all signed. It looks like in the paperwork you signed yourself over. I didn't have that problem where I lost my kids to DSS. I never had like a substantiated. I never had any of that, but they took to the guardian ad litem. So both the Council for Children's Rights in Mecklenburg County and Ben Balcom in Cabarrus County, it looks like I signed myself up for a guardian ad litem. It looks like I consented for a guardian ad litem and supervised visitation based on his accusations about me. And I both times thought it was ordered by the judge.
Can I talk about the contradiction in that, though? So if you needed a guardian ad litem, not your kids, right? Meaning you needed one? Is that
no, both times it was for my kids.
Oh, okay. I thought they were trying to
attack me. It wasn't anything. The guardian ad litems don't do anything for your kids.
No,
all
they
do is harass and attack you.
No,
I mean,
they don't.
Council for Rights.
The truth of the matter is, and any judge that's watching this and any attorney that's watching this knows I'm 100% right. The truth of the matter is, judges go to what's called judge school. Judges are told mothers are lying automatically. If a mother says this, she's lying, she's crazy. That's it. That's the playbook. That's it. Okay, that is a direct human rights violation. It doesn't get any uglier than that. And then on the other side, the guardian ad litem or the child attorneys for children, whatever you want to call them, they are trained to find the worst parent and protect them as much as you can and get the kids over to there, because it's a child trafficking industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. They don't even talk to your kids. And literally I recorded I learned from the first go around in Mecklenburg County to record everything. And they did call DSS out to my house 6 months later after his fake accusation. And I recorded the whole thing. And the guy said he'd been working there for 20 years. He'd never seen anything like this happen. He doesn't even know why this is open. Like he was defending me, like, and I had it all on video. Like, I don't even know why. Like, you live in this like 5,000 square foot house. Like, I've never even been in a house this nice before. Like, there's $1 million houses in my neighborhood. Like, are you kidding me? You don't have food to eat. You don't have like what are you calling DSS about? You know, I mean, it didn't even make sense to him.
Doesn't. This lady right here, Stephanie, we will definitely pray for you. She said, pray for my case. Please pray, please. My daughter committed suicide over my ex physical and alleged sex abuse, and he broke her hand and admitted, and he gets visits with my son now and wants more visits. I mean, it's just, this is so typical of abusers and the court system that's abusing them. And, you know, just recently, the Tommy Valva case, I know the case very, very well. I've been far too busy with people to even have been a part of that trial. But to be honest, I don't think I could have handled it, because I know the mom. As a matter of fact, if you guys want to watch an actual interview with Justina Valva, I have it on my YouTube channel. It's the case where the little Tommy was murdered, her son, and he also violently abused his own children. He's a police officer in Long Island, New York. I think it's NYPD or out Long Island. Anyway, I was down there in front of the legislative body when this first happened. They gave her back her children, and then CPS, who never went and stalked him, stalked her for a year to make sure the kids were okay after he violently killed his own son. The verdict was guilty, 2nd-degree murder. The day before yesterday, if you go back and you kind of Google the footage and stuff, you'll just see me screaming the whole time in the legislative office at all of them. And then I finally got a chance to speak at the podium, but I was going nuts in there because I can't listen to this stuff. I cannot listen to their lies. It's like the way you got upset in court the other day. It was crazy. And the police and how guilty they all are. Child trafficking. They hid the cameras because child pedophilia was going through the camera system. It wasn't like a security camera. Okay. These were cameras for child pedophilia. And, I have to probably put a disclaimer on this now. And then the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of money funneling through, that was left out of evidence that was ordered to not have this. And these things went missing. Okay. That evidence went missing. But you know, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, the system is quite evil. It's quite evil to the core. So we're not just fighting for the cases individually and the cases corporately. We're fighting the system to protect families. Okay. And so there's not enough of us really to go around. There's so many people. I see that you have so many comments coming up, guys, and I do appreciate your kind words very much so. I want to talk more about your case too, Jackie. You know, you've been going through it for quite a while. I got to meet you in Washington, D.C. It looks like you're wearing one of our T-shirts too. Are you?
Yes.
Let's make you big here so people can see that. Show that front back. What does that say in case they can't see it?
Can you see it?
Victim punished for being a parent, and then it says serving a life sentence, which we rebuke that. We don't, even though it's one of my T-shirts, you're not going to be serving this as a life sentence, but it's done in orange, like a you know, like if you're in jail. And then it says family court. What does the front say? Corruption.
It says, family court, corruption, guilty till proven innocent.
Yeah, guilty to proven innocent. And if that's not what you're seeing, if that's not what we're seeing, you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's absolutely. But yes, guys, if you want to share any comments here, I see you guys. You're feel free to share whatever, you know. Share it in the comments below. I receive it and I accept it, so I think it should be fine. But yes, it's a very wicked system. There's no question. But it's not supposed to be that. A human right is that you're innocent till proven guilty. Period. And I don't know where family court thinks that they can snake around that, you know, and they do it in the guise that they're protecting children, but they're not protecting children. So hello, undo it, you know, unscramble it, because they're wrong. And it's important that we continue to fiercely and fearlessly, and I named it, you know, this is Warrior Moms here, And we did the Mothers Glowing in the Darkness event too, before Congress members, in which we're not even done with that yet. I still have a lot more to go with that. It's just that I've been inundated. Thank you. There's a Facebook link, guys. You guys are welcome to go to comments and click on that for this lady's story as well. It just says Facebook user, but you guys can go there. It looks like Linktree or something like that. Let me see if it'll put it up on the screen. I don't know if that doesn't really help. You guys would have to actually go to comments to click it. But so you've had like some successes though, Jackie, and then they pull it back away. Isn't that what's kind of happening? They kind of treat you like a yo-yo.
They do. They, what it is it's almost like they just want to give me some stuff, but take away the most important stuff. So they can't really get in trouble for it. And it just continues to go back and forth. And then just like they gave me emergency custody for a week and then took it back. And then they give me every other weekend. And then, here I am last week thinking, well, I can't not possibly not get 50-50. And they don't give me any time. They don't even discuss it. So it's just, it's terrible. It's terrible. And the children are definitely suffering. My son has developed a really horrific stutter, and he's already special needs, but just from the drugs that he's full of from his father and all of this trauma and him being ripped from his only home he's ever known, he can hardly get out a full sentence now without stuttering like crazy. And that to me is just, it's unbelievable. It's just, the effects are devastating.
Well, we're going to come back after I get involved in your case. Okay.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We're going to have an encouraging story, a change in your story. Okay. I
Yeah.
guarantee. I want to welcome Valerie, guys. Thank you both ladies very much, very much. And I love you both. And
Thank you. Love you too.
Yeah.
Faith-filled people here. Valerie is also another client. And Valerie, let's talk about, this is some cake, man. This is just, even the judge is like, wow. But not, we're here tonight to talk about, obviously we know that these are horrific cases, they're convoluted, but also we're here to encourage people how Punish for Protecting has helped you. So if you want to go ahead and kind of give them a little basis so they understand a little bit about what's happened in the background and then like what's happening.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sorry to join so late. I was actually just driving my daughter to a different county, and it's been a really long, dramatic day. I just want to simply state that my situation has been so traumatic and literal hell since July 26th specifically. And honestly, just knowing that Francesca and Hannah do the work that they do has helped me more than I can even articulate. I am very traumatized by everything that has been going on. I have a lot of anxiety. I'm probably very clearly have PTSD from just the court trauma and my rights just being consistently abused. And there's so many times when I'm so anxious that I can't even cry and I can't even text or send an email, but just knowing that Francesca and Hannah are there and doing the work that they're doing, and that when I am able, I can reach out to them through text or a phone call or a video chat or join the groups. It seriously provides, it's like everything to me. It really is everything to me. And then even being part of the groups and hearing what other people are going through, while it may seem wildly different in ways, there are seriously consistent trends that are happening to primarily moms, and moms of who are literally trying to protect their children for a variety of reasons. It's like insane. It's hauntingly insane. But within that, I don't feel alone. And that's specifically because I've been connected to Francesca and Hannah. Seriously.
It touches my heart, and I'm so happy to hear you feel that way. And also, I want to tell you, I observed everything in your court, and you did a stellar job. I was bragging about you, and I was very impressed with you. And I know, and the thing is that, when you're going through that kind of trauma, you know, they don't even want to believe that you have post-traumatic stress syndrome or legal abuse syndrome, because you are articulating well and you are an educated woman and you do have your act together. And so that's discriminatory too, because just because, you know, it's like only dumb people can have post-traumatic stress. It's like an ignorant statement. Like you have to be dumb to have, you know, post-traumatic stress, or and it's such a discrimination. Okay. And it's such an ignorance, really. It's a blatant ignorance and violation of life and violation of human rights. You did such a good job. I was very impressed with you. And you know, sorry about the dog. But I do let the audience just want to hear like more about, tell them what's going on in your case, because it is absurd.
It is absurd. And I'm sorry, we just got home, my kid's in the background. So you have your dog, I got my kid, you know, it's just how we're rolling over here. But I would like to say that my situation with my now 14-year-old daughter is insane. In all due respect, she was acting out, probably getting involved in things that are typical for kids of this generation, but there was a little bit of acceleration. There's been some violence towards me. There's been widespread drug use and defiance. And I had been doing everything that I could to try to get some help from, you know, systems in the community, even though I was well aware, you know, of the stigma associated with it. But it's like, I'm a sole providing parent. I have 2 kids. I have another child with special needs. So I really did need some help. I was trying to get my daughter away from any cop interference, in spite of, you know, some of the things that she was doing that, you know, violence and drugs, risky, illegal things. And long story short, she had 3 hospitalizations from October 2021 to July 2022. And during the 3rd hospitalization, which coincides with me trying to get a PINS petition placed on her. So PINS, P-I-N-S, it's person in need of supervision. So unfortunately, it was like a court-ordered supervision, but things had escalated so much in my home and with my child that I felt like this was kind of the only choice I had, would be court-ordered supervision. Not my choice, but I don't create the flaws and gaps in society, and this is what we kind of have been pushed into and fallen into. So in any case, because PINS supervision was, PINS petition rather, was placed on her, she was appointed an attorney for the child. So an AFC is what we call them here, attorney for the child. And my goodness sake, I cannot understand still what happened, but somehow this, in all due respect, evil, evil attorney for the child turned my daughter's PINS petition, which would have led her to be in court to talk about her behavior, running away, violence towards mom, drug use, blah, 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 turned it into a custody battle whereby I literally walked into court thinking that I had a plan which the CPS investigator and I had put together. In my situation, the CPS investigator actually saw me, that I'm like this really good mom and all I do is work and provide for my children. But we had this plan whereby my daughter would get discharged from the hospital and sent to a respite bed in the state, not punitive, not to undergo any psychiatric evaluation, nothing punitive or anything like that. It was respite, providing her an opportunity to get a break. We'd undergo mediation as mother and daughter. And then if she felt well enough to come home, she could. If not, she'd go to my good friend in Michigan, who has children, 4 children over the ages of 18, who's been through these behaviors of, I hate mom, experimental drug use, hitting mom, cutting.
It's teenage years. And sadly, because I started this group with another group in my town because of the high volumes of children that are vaping and smoking pot, and the parents that are allowing it, which is a big problem. But then you got the parents that are like, what do we do? And I started something called PAVE, Parents Advocating for Vaping Education, paving the way, because 90% of them are doing this, and they were doing stuff like this teenage years all along in life, but it's gotten worse now. And I believe it's gotten worse because these family court orders. Kids are traumatized and they want to fit in, but you don't come along and rip the children from the home. you work, if you need, like, I don't believe in any of this stuff, but if you're there, you should be there to help guide the family and protect the mother or father or parents disciplinary actions, as long as you're not beating them. They're just trying to
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
way. I mean, it's just insane.
So I walked into court thinking we had a plan, and it was a charade. It was an effing charade. And my child was literally ripped from my womb, and people try to edit the expression of my experience. And I'm going to say again, my child was ripped from my womb and placed literally in the sole custody of people who had previously kidnapped her, a former friend who literally, he and his evil wife kidnapped her for 5 days, and I needed to get police intervention. They were told to stay away from my family. And then however many weeks later, this attorney for the child and a judge placed my daughter in the temporary sole custody, and the attorney for the child has applied and is fighting for sole custody to be placed in these people's hands. He is fighting, the attorney for the child is fighting to rip custody from me and place it in these people's hands. And these people,
there's money involved. That's why.
It's money.
The judge said, I'm not comfortable with this stranger having this daughter. Like, that should be enough right there. The judge can literally make a ruling. I'm against it mostly, but for something like this, make a ruling from the bench and use your broad discretion to end this insanity, this case.
And why he hasn't, I don't know. And why it is that there has been a new updated court order. I mean, it's not even new at this point. We're in the 5th or 6th week. And these people, my daughter's attorney for the child, who works for Citizens for Concerned Children. It should be Citizens Unconcerned for Children. You know, people that are trafficking my child from one county to the next. Literally. They don't like me using that word.
Facebook,
they traffic.
Have you seen that crazy thing that's going through Facebook? I was like, I cringed so much, because I'm a Christian and I believe in God, but this thing went through, and it's Catholicism, which I'm not. And it was basically saying that all these judges, it's called the red event or something like that. Anyway, I can't. And it said basically they go and they ask the Holy Spirit to give them guidance for the courts. I'm like, no, you're not. You might be asking an unholy spirit, but you're not asking God that loves you to do this to people's families. Like, read that in the Bible. Find it, you moron. Like, I get so upset. Like,
right. No,
like,
I pray all the time, and I read scripture in order to help me, because this is so hard. I look really bad right now, but this is a testament to what the war that I have been enduring since July. And even today, it was a huge full day. My daughter has lost so much weight, okay, and has cried to me so much in the past 48 hours, okay? And I'm still writing to people and trying to be articulate and say, you're all getting paid to do this to my child and my family. Like, who's abiding by the court order except for me? Like what needs to happen?
Somebody said, did she get your daughter back permanently? You haven't gotten her back permanently, not yet, but it's coming. But
right, I haven't yet. And she literally told me today, that's why I'm on this call late, because I had to drive her to the other county where she's living, right? She told me that she wants to come home. There's trauma bonding, there's gaslighting, she's been coached, there's manipulation. So it's like my child says stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how to react to it.
I know.
But she has told me, and she told me today that she's comfortable telling her lawyer, as well as the word of the week for these people is predators and captors. This is how I'm healing through my honest use of who these people are to me and my child. She told me, my daughter, that she wants to come back home, and she does feel like it will take time, but she's ready to start making that move, spending more time home with her sister and I. We're a family of 3. It's just me and my daughters, and bringing her stuff home and this and that. Now the thing is that how is this going to be twisted? Because it's like this, it is literally amazing that her captors and predators who have sole custody of her twist everything, and they're pro se, They say they're pro se, but they're using her attorney for the child. They're all banding together. It's like this herd mentality to win a game, while my daughter is just losing weight, losing weight, losing weight. The dean of her they call it the dean of her high school, called me on a Saturday morning to tell me that he's very concerned because she does not look emotionally and mentally well.
It's and this is the thing, is that like even when we get kids back and they're back, you're still advocating for these families to help them get through the trauma,
Right.
certain things to help you guys get through dealing with and staying strong during it. But then after, it's like getting through the trauma, and then it's like you said, certain reactions and things they say don't make sense, and we have to try to like make sure we don't react that way, or and just don't take it personally, because you do come out of all of that. They do come out of it. It takes time to heal, but they do, as long as you kind of stick with it. But it's a shame that anybody would ever have to go through this in the first place. I see Dorothy on. I guess she's not able to get in. I was going to have her speak a little bit. I do have to bring back, just because of time, Ramona back in. She has a few little things she wants to say. I so appreciate you, Valerie, and
Thank you so much.
Thank you that have been on. Dorothy, if you are able to come in, we'll be able to take you for a couple minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to bring. Thank you, Valerie, very much. I have to bring Ramona, which is my Canadian Punish for Protecting chapter leader, and she's actually you got a few more things you wanted to say before we wrapped tonight. Okay, Dorothy is gonna she's gonna speak a little bit, but go ahead, Ramona. I know you had a few things you want.
Yes, I did. So something that the good Lord has blessed us with, I hate to say this when it comes to children, but we are a one-stop shop. So we have created something and are working on the, the model anyways. We have a former justice of the peace from New York, who actually moved to Canada because he had 50-50 custody and his ex-wife took off with a little girl. So he's still trying to see his daughter. Obviously, his ex-wife is in contempt of court, but we've got the former judge. We've got attorneys. We've got a psychologist I'm meeting with this week. We've got trauma therapists. So we are all, when I say one-stop shop, this is what we're looking at, is the whole, basically the big picture. So we're not just, going to court and help and get your kids back and you're moving on your merry way. We have trauma specialists. We have prayer group that we're starting. Aside from, thank you for letting us join yours on Friday nights, but we're actually starting our own and the Facebook page. And I have a gal that's actually working on the website now. And no offense, we are Punished for Protecting. We are the chapter, Canadian chapter, but we had to change the name just because our Canadian status. Some of the people were like, oh my gosh, Punished for Protecting. It sounds so negative. So we went with bringing our kids home, but we are Punished for Protecting. So that being said, I say that we are a one-stop shop. We have a paralegal. We have, like I said, all these different people and the military. So this is kind of the building blocks that God has put together. And most of these people are Christians that are in our framework. So this is what people get. They don't just pay the $50 or whatever for a consult with me. They actually get networked into this. So we've got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I'll explain it later on our website. They can see what it's all about. So we follow the whole process through, aftercare, all that kind of thing as well, so that people are not left alone, because it changes your whole life. I mean, I'm not the same. I have a daughter that's
Really does.
Yeah, I have a daughter that's struggling too with vaping and marijuana use because of the joint disorder that she has. But the fact that she didn't get help, she was on 7 psychotropic meds. She's had the 42 urinary tract infections. She's had 2 suicide attempts, been in the children's hospital. My other one is cutting as well. And one of them wants to be a boy because of the sexual abuse by her father. And I raised them in a Christian home. I mean, they know the right way, but yet
all the enemy trying to rob, and that's why we're offering nothing but hope to people, because we've shown hope. We've shown, return to children and so forth. And I say I am Punished for Protecting is an advocacy group with extensive background, and she's my Canadian chapter leader. I handle the United States, and you've seen some of our team tonight, but there's a lot more where we come from, and same as like what Ramona is doing here. Here I have, attorneys and all that other stuff too as well. But I do not the bar member, because I'm not, and I don't want to do that. I go in as an expert, domestic violence, child abuse, Americans with Disability Act, and human rights advocate, and I get a lot more further than these attorneys do. I also want to say, people are asking, how do I get the shirts? How do I get help? If you look, there's an infomercial. If you go back and watch this, it's very detailed. But if you look on the bottom of this screen, you see the ticker. It says punish the number 4 beingaparent.com. For any of the t-shirts, you could just go to the shop. There's lots and lots of educational stuff on there that you're going to love. You're going to see a lot of testimonies of kids that never were taken, kids that came home, and kids that were protected, because that's our main goal. And also you can go to punishforbeingaparent.com/book a talk, and it's book underscore a underscore talk underscore, or no, I'm sorry, book underscore a underscore talk .com. And you can book a talk with me. I do have, Ramona, if you don't mind, because I am a little pressed on time right now.
I'm gonna let you go.
I do have Dorothy Hill, and I'm going to bring her out. But I think
Absolutely. Thanks. I'm going to sign off.
Love you.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm glad you got to make it out.
Hi.
And you have an extensive background, as well as the fact that you were a part of the entire, which I shared a little bit earlier, the Tommy Valva trial. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, boy, so just a little recap for those who you are not familiar with it. And I do apologize. I've been doing so much running around and driving. It's just a crazy day. Thank you, Fran. For everyone's edification, Fran was instrumental in helping me win February 2020 when I went before Judge Ellen Greenberg in Nassau County, New York. We're here on Long Island. We went very red this election. People are so fed up with the corruption. We are two of the, I'd say, Nassau County, Suffolk County, New York. The two counties are two of the wealthiest counties in the United States. We're very close to New York City. But unfortunately, going back to the sort of 70s, 80s, there has been a very high level of corruption here, including in family court, CPS, the police, money laundering, definitely organized crime activities going on here, illegal gambling, child trafficking, you name it. So in a nutshell, the Valva case. So little Tommy, 8 years old, was the middle child of 3 boys, and Center Moriches, which is in Nassau County. The father, Michael Valva, kept the 2 of the boys who were autistic in the garage, 19 degrees. Went on for about 2018, 19, about 2-3 years total when he got custody. Now, the mother, Justina Zubko Valva, she's from Poland. She works as a corrections officer at Rikers Island. Has an accent, but extremely protective. Faith, her spirituality is just amazing, beautiful. Yes. She was accused of being violent towards her boys. Again, these are all slander, libel, and defamation of character, all unsubstantiated accusations that were presented by the father. There's $300 per hour before corrupt judges. So the custody of the 3 boys, Anthony, Andrew, and Tommy being the middle one, were taken from her when the biological father, an NYPD transit officer, moved in with his girlfriend who became fiance out in Center Moriches, which is, you sort of like look on the map of Long Island. It's between kind of the center point of Long Island and the Hamptons, which is the South Fork, the southern end of Long Island, extremely wealthy. So Center Moriches is very small because a lot of former farmland that was built into like developments, and they lived in a very large, beautiful house. The boys were punished for not saying mommy, not being polite, quote unquote, to their stepmother. Both the stepmother and the biological father were extremely abusive. I say to all of the children, not just the little boys. And over time, because they had incontinence issues and they were starved, the 2 boys, Tommy and his older brother, Anthony, were starved, beaten, awful verbal abuse, psychological abuse. The CPS was called many, many times. The teachers, the principal, no one called the police. No one called the police when they saw these little boys losing weight. They did not call. So that's really not part of their protocol, right? The teachers call CPS. CPS comes in. There are much deeper ties, we believe, to why the father was protected. As a matter of fact, the father allegedly sent one of his lawyers, Lo Turco, who is partners with Bruce Barquette of Manhasset, who represented Chris Loeb, who found illegal items in then Suffolk County Police Chief Jimmy Burke's bag, including child porn. So you see how this is all related. Anyway, the father, who is Michael Valva, he and the stepmom, who is Angela Polina, they set up what's called Google Nest camera system within the house in 9 different cameras where they could monitor. They would leave the children, the boys, locked up and leave the house. I mean, the things that we heard in this trial, we were always instructed by the judge, William Condon, do not show emotion, do not express emotion. If you feel that you'll be triggered, you must leave the courtroom. And the reason is, A, he needed to run a tight ship, but B, he did not want to sway the jury. So if someone in the gallery got emotional, the jury would see that, and that would impact the jury. So this trial went on for over.
But I could have not been there. I wouldn't have made it through.
Yeah, it's tough. Let me tell you, Fran, and I have,
some of the stuff you sent me, I maybe watched or read it like that much, and then I couldn't anymore.
Right.
And I did this 24 hours a day, but I just,
yes.
This is, I can't wrap my head around, Dorothy, how a biological parent can do this to their own child. I can't, it's like there's abuse situations, but this is like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's really,
it's
for your own child.
Right. You're absolutely right. And when I was watching this, I thought this father, because you see him in the courtroom, he's sitting there, he's very proper, his hair is dyed. Oh, why is he getting such special treatment in jail? Whereas Angela,
covert narcissism. Covert narcissism.
Malignant. I mean, obviously you can't diagnose someone unless you are a licensed professional. But in my, I'd say thousands and thousands of hours I've spent on the Gilgo case and on other similar cases, and having been married to a malignant narcissist, this man was definitely, showed signs of, is the best way to say it, right? Malignant narcissism, sadistic psychopath, and also the fiance as well. So they would watch the boys, they would speak to them through the audio. It's very strange. It was like something that you would read in a movie or watch in a horror movie or something. And even the piano teacher would take one of the Polina's one of the 2 twins, which she had from her husband. And then Gia was the youngest of her 3 daughters. And one of the twins, the teacher would ask, well, is your mom here? Is someone here? And then Angela would speak to the teacher and say, I'm watching you. I'm out doing, errands, but I'm watching you. It was like creepy, right? And then the cousin of the husband of Angela's cousin lived in a room down in the basement. He worked at the local airport in MacArthur. And I thought, that's really weird. You do not have an adult male living in a house with small children. And just the whole situation was weird. But the bottom line is that, yes, they were starved, beaten, tortured, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, on the day of January 17th, 2020, it was so cold. I'll never forget that week. So frigid here on Long Island. And Tommy they slept in the garage, no blanket, no mattress, no protection, nothing. And then he had soiled himself. His father took him on the back deck. The neighbor's Ring camera picked up the visual of Tommy standing up, falling. And this case is so horrific. Those of you who are writing comments, I spoke today to the Suffolk County legislators about our need to have a cybersecurity czar, because 2 weeks before the election, all of a sudden a ransomware attack on the entire county. And by the way, that was just before the Valva case started. So it impacted, I believe, it impacted title information, personal information, social security fraud investigations, a whole myriad of databases.
Speaking of that, Dorothy, don't you have like an extensive background on financial? No?
Yeah, I mean, I told the Suffolk County legislators.
No, I'm sorry. Don't you specifically have a background in?
Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. I'm not tired enough to come on though, and thank you very much for having me. Yeah, so my background is Yale. Had the sweatshirt on. I attended the Yale training program on cybersecurity, and
that's right.
Lately, I've been so busy with my career, but so I went to Dartmouth undergrad, and then I got my MBA at NYU, worked for Goldman Sachs, and in London, I was trained by a former FBI agent And then that led to all of my work in compliance on Wall Street. So money laundering investigations, human trafficking investigations. And I attended the trial for several reasons. One was to be able to really be in the trenches about this case, because again, it is one of the cruelest, most horrific cases in the country on child abuse. It was a NYPD transit officer father who was like out of control, had so much power, was able to cover up child abuse. Now the teachers would give sweatshirts for the boys to wear. They didn't want to take their coats off during school. They didn't want to go outside for recess. They were searching through the trash can for food to eat. They did not have proper lunch. They had half a sandwich, like Nutella sandwich, half a sandwich Nutella with one snack. They were told, the parents were told, the dad and the stepmom, I should say, because she's not a parent.
No.
Wicked witch of Long Island, we call
They're
it.
evil, psycho. Yeah.
Not enough snacks, not even healthy snacks. Again, what you would hear on the video, like they recorded from the Bella's room, Bella being the dog, so you could hear the audio in the kitchen. Now, what's interesting is they had videos going 24/7 into the twins' bedroom, the girls, Gia's bedroom, the younger girl. The boys were shut literally in a bunk bed with a trundle, given the smallest room in the house. Now, that was the stepmother's decision, remember?
Mhm.
But the father, it was a highly codependent relationship between him and the stepmother. They would back each other up. And then when he was working at his night shift in the city, the stepmom, Angela Polina, would send him a link to the boys and what they were doing, like masturbating and saying, "Oh, I told him to stop doing that. I yelled at him to stop doing that. Oh, he peed again." They were wearing diapers. They were malnourished. The boys were malnourished. The youngest boy, Andrew, was not on the autism spectrum. Now, I shouldn't say they were autistic. They were specifically, you have to say this differently. They were on the autism spectrum. These were highly intelligent. They were advanced into regular classroom settings. They were not in any, they were not kept in any type of, special needs classes. Very, very smart. And after Tommy died of basically hypothermia that led to a cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
father faked it on the 911 call saying, "Oh, I'm giving him CPR." He put him on a couch in the basement. What's the first rule when you're giving CPR to someone, Fran?
Flat ground.
Gingo. On a flat,
Just like Michael Jackson's story.
similar, right? So saying, yes. So what do you, no, move him off the couch. Yeah. Call 911. Yes, sir, move him off the couch, put him on the ground. And then the housekeeper lied. The housekeeper, Tyrene Rodriguez, she lied. They caught her in lies. So when the jury, last Friday went to deliberate, they wanted to see 3 items. They wanted to hear Bella's audio from the room where the dog stayed. Oh my gosh, the dog stayed in the heated room while the 2 boys were forced to sleep in a garage. So it was locked. They couldn't even go to the bathroom, Fran. Even they were upstairs in the boys' room. They shared, the 3 boys. They go like this. I have to go to the bathroom. What kind of monster does that to a child?
Well, all I can say is that, 2nd-degree murder, guilty verdict. But as far as I'm concerned, every cop involved, every judge involved, every attorney involved, every whatever CPS worker involved belongs sitting in the same cell on their way to hell. There's nothing. And these judges that are making these orders and calling women crazy,
right,
women, or saying that they're liars, need to go to jail too. They need to go to prison. They need to go to jail. They need to be held accountable because they're all guilty. You got an insane person, that's one thing, but then you've got a system that's even triply insane.
Yes.
Making court orders and doing this to people, and this ignoring women, ignoring abuse, saying it's not happening, claiming they're coaching. All this stuff's got to stop.
Right. Melissa, right. So Justina Zubko-Valva gave a zip drive, so much evidence, audio, a secret camera she put in her boys' backpack. So when they were in the car, they would be coached to say, "We hate mommy. We love Angela and daddy. We love daddy and Angela. Mommy beats us. Mommy's mean." They coach these little boys, and she
coached.
Yes, they did. Father and the stepmom coached the boys to say terrible things about the biological mother. They love their mother so much. And then when they
love their mother. Yeah.
Crazy. When it's transferred, guess what happened? They said, similar to other cases, oh, you, Justina, you must go through a psychological evaluation by our people, chosen by us. And what they do, Dr. Anthony Santoro, which you probably remember from my case, would write delusion of grandeur about the protective parent.
Tell you the whole, if you've seen the whole Erie County thing that Dr. Nathan said, he diagnosed every single parent involved in their family court up there that they've taken the children. Every single one of them have a delusional disorder, even though less than 1% of the entire population has delusional disorder. This is what they're doing. They're putting these false diagnoses on people.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are all, once again, these are rights that you have that they're violating. The courts are violating these rights.
And I'll tell you, this police officer was very protected. And I'll tell you, when I walked in today to the Suffolk County legislators, all the elected officials across all of Suffolk County, I got some smiles because I know people like Trotta and others. I got a few dirty looks, and I
went down there.
Stuff was highly protected. NYPD had come to his house that day when they declared Tommy deceased at the hospital, and we're back at the house at 11 Bittersweet Lane. There were 3 NYPD officers. There was NYPD chaplain Franco, and you could hear Angela, the stepmother, say to the police officers, she said, I deleted the videos. And she said, and then Michael had said, change the password. So why were these NYPD officers informed? Now, who had access? That's the other question. The Google Nest employee, young guy, whippersnapper smart, testified under oath. They had the 5-day Nest subscription. Up to 10 people could be logged in at any one time. And this is where it gets really, really bad, not beyond the child abuse.
Yeah.
Justina, because they litigated their divorce and not mediated. This is another reason why I litigated my divorce from Christopher Wolf in 2011. I needed his financials. Yeah. Within those financials are nuggets of information and financial transactions that lead to will lead to basically money laundering investigations and what they call suspicious activities. This father, Michael Valva, together with his fiance, had a joint bank checking account and joint savings account through JP Morgan Chase, and had received $30,000 to $130,000 each. Now, an NYPD transit officer is not a regular officer.
Like, of a Nutella sandwich, but anyway.
Well, you make $100,000, right? He's making $100,000 and disability. She's not even working. Where is the $30,000 to $130,000 per deposit coming from? Well, the premise is based on Anthony and Andrew speaking to Barbara Burkhart after Tommy died. They were taken. Now, everyone, I'm going to give you some information that if you're going to be triggered, I'm going to ask you to just mute it.
Trigger warning to the viewers then, guys. Trigger warning.
Right, trigger warning.
Yeah.
Anthony, and especially Anthony and Andrew, said they were taken to 2 to 3 friends' homes of the father and stepmother near them. They said almost like it's up to the 7-Eleven. So we looked at a map. It's really not that far. And also to what's called a funeral home with clowns. There were 4 people masked. You
don't have to say anything further because I already know where you're going, and it's the same thing.
It's so bad
with the whole Adam Walsh and with the John Walsh and what they're doing. It's this satanic ritual abuse.
Yes, it's SRA. So you know the acronyms, everyone. So you can Google search my name. You can see what I write about Gilgo and the serial killings. It's all similar. And our premise is that they were targeting vulnerable women on Long Island who were escorts, sort of in the 80s, 90s till 2016, doing awful things. And it was also the time that adrenochrome was being harvested. Okay, remember that? Very lucrative organs harvesting, etc. So when that shut down, because Shannon Gilbert, one of the escorts, called 911 and said they are trying to kill me, and all those special parties ended, our premise is they switched to children. Now, child sex trafficking in the United States and globally is $1 billion industry. Now, I didn't talk about SRA today when I spoke before the Suffolk County legislators, but what I did say is I'm at, regardless of where you stand on the political aisle, left, right, center, we need all of you to support the grand jury investigation called by Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney. And full disclosure, I worked on his campaign. Yeah. Know him and support him. We need you to support this grand jury investigation of fraud and crimes by CPS in Suffolk County. Now, CPS kept on finding the investigations unfounded, protecting mother, who's a cop, right? law enforcement officer, protecting Angela Polina, who was a medical billing,
and for protecting the judges.
protecting the judges. So Judge Lawrence,
Zimmerman.
Judge Chang, Judge Hope Zimmerman, we call her Hopeless Zimmerman. Interesting that she retired from Nassau County. And also my judge, Ellen Greenberg, had stated on the public record in an article, oh, the boys wanted to sleep in the garage.
No, they didn't.
Really? What child wants to sleep in the garage with no mat, no blanket,
floor? No.
pillow, 19 degrees on the cement floor? Okay. And then like peering into the cameras like two little raccoons pleading, we need to go to the bathroom. We're hungry. Okay, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. But remember, what's crucial in this case, everyone, is that people could log into the cameras and watch the children in their rooms. Watch.
They took the evidence of all that.
No, it's there. It's there. I can tell you right now, working on Wall Street and technology, and the subpoena that was granted, and Justina did the math. 2017, 2018, 2019. 3 years times 365 days a year times 24 hours times 60 minutes in an hour is she calculated the number of minutes of recordings. Now Google must by law they must provide the videos from those various rooms. Praise but God. They also have backup. Okay, Google just doesn't record it for you. They do have backups on the servers. So they did have an individual from Department of Homeland Security who investigates child sex trafficking. He testified under oath in the trial.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
So well, basically in a nutshell, so he was found guilty on all counts, second-degree murder, and also the child abuse, not just of little Tommy, but his older brother Anthony as well. And now Angela Polina, her criminal trial is coming up.
She's good. I can't wait.
In jail. Yeah, he's out in Riverhead, Michael Valva. They did not put him into the general population because you know what's going to happen. Boom.
Yeah.
Gone.
Okay. Well.
Be like that is good, but they need him in a way. I think he's thing. I mean, I hope he's gonna get on it. By the way, there was also a notebook. This is so similar to Epstein, and I'm not surprised. You ask me all the time. You think there's a connection to Jeffrey Epstein, and he was seen with Jimmy Burke and O'Keefe?
One second, to answer your question that said, where are the boys today? They are with mom and they're safe. And I do have a video if you guys want to watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on all my channels, and it's the actual interview with Justina Valva. I'm sorry, Justina.
Dubko.
Yeah, thank you. This was like right when it first happened, but it's a very thorough interview because she wasn't able to speak. Like the news was kind of like cutting stuff out, and this is a thorough interview so you can hear directly from mom. And that's on Punish for Protecting News on Facebook, or it's on Punish No More Free to Protect on YouTube, so you'll be able to find it if you look it up.
And I'm sorry I talked over you and there's a little bit of bumpy, but I wanted to also say for the audience, this case of Tommy Valva, try not to get emotional because my family, this is what happens. They go after protective mothers. They protect the abuser. They need children in their pipeline. Nassau County, New York, here, we have a budget. Well, because they're like my arch enemy after what they did to my family. And I'll go in a little bit on that because I'm right behind Justina. She has filed a federal lawsuit, $200 million, 99-page federal lawsuit in federal court. I'm right behind her with a $100 million lawsuit because I too was targeted. Now, mine does not involve my ex-husband because he left the United States to avoid paying child support. He's in Dubai. And by the way, Fran, we should do a separate show.
We will. We will.
There is a man just arrested, American, all types of nasty crimes, and he's living in Dubai. Now, Dubai is Muslim, Sharia law. So a lot of these crooks, they leave the United States, they live in places like Dubai or New Zealand and commit their crimes there. But people are catching on. And I'm in the I'm in the money laundering investigations community on Wall Street, and on LinkedIn, we have a very vibrant, very active community. So people in my background in my profession, we know about child sexual abuse, CSA. We know about satanic ritual abuse, SRA. However, unless someone is in law enforcement, they may not necessarily know about like the snuff industry, adrenochrome. This is really deep. You got to go. People always tease me, "Hey, Dorothy, are you in your rabbit hole now?" Well, I've worked with some of the most amazing people on Wall Street.
I don't want to know a lot of people because
but we have to, like in my profession, and I'm so blessed. I really want to say this. I'm so blessed to have been trained by Goldman Sachs, I worked at great places. And now, you know, even JP Morgan, when I speak to the professionals there, it's like, Dorothy, we will delve into it. We will investigate it, but we may not have a report in our system that somebody reported Michael Valva for these large transactions, because it actually has to be submitted to the U.S. Department of Treasury, called FinCEN system, right?
Yeah.
And it's very detailed. So there's a wonderful woman at JP Morgan Chase who actually pushed hard in Washington. She pushed for years to develop a new, what's called a suspicious activity report, SAR. And if I'm speaking too quickly, let me know.
No, you're good.
Do a lot of training on Wall Street, but I have to like slow my pace. But it's called suspicious activity report. And it could be human trafficking. It could be child sex trafficking. It could be a group of women who are forced to work like at a spa in like Queens, where like what they call Johns and men, which include law enforcement, you know, go in and get like what they call happy endings, whatever it's called. You know, these are basically women who are sex trafficked to do these specific sex.
Yeah.
You know, they have their passports taken from them. They're
Yeah.
forced to give the money to the owner. Now, the key question is, number one, utopiaguide.com. Don't go on there. I can tell you right now, but it's a
Don't go on there.
sex trafficking site that was set up around 2001, 2002 in Manhasset, New York, where I raised my children. I started researching that site based on the Gilgo murders. I wrote a 60-page memo to the FBI, submitted to FBI in person in 2012. I was retaliated against. When I went to the FBI here in Long Island, they told me, oh, you found that evidence? Why don't you take it to the Nassau County Police Department, since it's local, and report it to them? What happens? Ed Romaine, who is then the Suffolk County legislature at the time, shows up in the precinct, and I'm thinking, why is he here? He's in a different county. Jimmy Burke, who was then the Suffolk County police chief, was running, listen to this, Suffolk County police chief was running a sex trafficking and sex trafficking specifically operation out of, sorry, I had a little alert, out of Oak Beach, which is a gated community in the town of Babylon, which is kind of a remote, beautiful waterfront community. Behind the gate, you need the password to go there. They had a beautiful house at 85 Hauser Drive, which was abandoned because the owner was in jail for securities fraud of real estate investments. And Dr. Charles Peter Hackett had keys to that house. Now, this is crazy, friend. They had parties there. They would charge $5,000 to $10,000 cash per person, called a poker party. They brought in prostitutes, mounds of cocaine, orgies everywhere. And they would literally gross, and I kid you not, $600,000 cash per night per party. So where does my then husband come in? Oh, he would say, honey, I need to relieve the branch manager Saturday morning, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, worked all week. Like, we have my two children, your two children, they have soccer, they have lacrosse, they have this, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. We're so busy. I need you. Oh, no, I need to go relieve that person. What he was doing, he was going down to help them put the cash into the safety deposit boxes and turning off the video cameras. So I was so livid when I found out. So I called Jerry Donnelly, Gerald or Jerry Donnelly. I said, Jerry, Chris is doing illegal things with the bank. You please look into it. Jerry's like, oh, I will. He was NYPD. I said, Jerry, this man came out on March 28, 2011. And he said, oh, what are you doing here? I said, what are you doing here? This is my place of business. I have bank accounts here for my business, for my daughter. Who are you? And he wouldn't give me his name. That was Joseph Brewer. That man, I found out, the idiot. Sorry, that's a nice description for the guy. He wore the same blue jacket that he wore in his photograph on the front page of Newsday, because he had Shannon Gilbert in his house when she said, they are trying to kill me. Now, Shannon Gilbert was going to testify for the Hudson County, New Jersey prosecutors against Joseph Ruiz for Lace Ladies, a massive sex trafficking, drugs trafficking operation out of New Jersey. She was going to testify and basically cooperate. No, she was driven they were angry about that. She was driven to Oak Beach from allegedly Midtown Manhattan, which means you don't cross state lines. My theory is that she was she was brought from Jersey City, where she was living with her then boyfriend, Alex Diaz, who had punched her so badly in a prior period that she had to get a metal plate inserted in her jaw
Oh,
that he forced her to pay for. This is how these women are trafficked and abused, right?
yeah.
Anyway, Shannon was the person who broke open the Gilgo case by calling 911 and saying they are trying to kill me, because they had slipped her a roofie or something in her drink and she was unconscious and came to. And on her 911 call, you can hear her kind of coming to conscious, slipping out and saying, Mike, why are you using my real name? Mike, leave me alone. Mike, no, don't touch me. You could hear Joseph Brewer in the background. Well, that's how I started connecting the dots from Joseph Brewer to my then husband, Christopher Wolf, to Jimmy Burke, to all of these men going to these sex orgy parties where they literally had made, they did all kinds of nasty.
I heard from a therapist recently. I don't know if this is true or not, but you probably would know that something to do with some of the attorneys and child attorneys in Ulster County were involved in the Gilgo situation. I'll have to get more of the details to give you, because I'll find out. I'll get more of that information. She started telling me something about something to do with Ulster County, and then I know of like this mansion that's like out past Saugerties or something, where apparently a lot of this is going on. I don't know exactly where it's located, and it's involved in that as well. It's just
so that makes sense to me, because Oheka Castle here on Long Island, they were having steak dinners Friday night for the cops. And I'm talking about the most senior level cops, that the officials of, this is another thing where Rob Trotta spoke today about the budget. And he said, we have 17 Suffolk County Police Department senior ranked law enforcement officers making over $300,000. He said they're not even doing police work. They're going to the PBA, he literally said union halls. Now, there's also a connection of these crimes on Long Island to the union officials.
Yeah.
And I've had a massive run-in with a woman who I used to co-host her community too. We were reporting on Valva, we were reporting on the Gilgo murders, and then I was told by her January of this year, I had to shut it down by order. I said, I need to know who gave you the order, because obviously I'm gonna probably do some type of legal action against that person.
Yeah.
We were just about to monetize it for probably $10,000 to $20,000 per month with sponsors all over the country, with my network having worked at Goldman and McKinsey and people caring about child sexual abuse and human trafficking. We were going to make serious money, and we had planned to give money back to the families of the Gilgo victims, who, by the way, all these men who were involved in these crimes, they will go on Reddit. They go on called Zero's World, which is a WordPress blog. They attack me. They say, Dorothy's crazy. She's delusional. She doesn't know anyone connected. She does this for
like to see, because then obviously
she had her kids taken from her. I mean, all these crazy things. I mean, I had an issue with my son in Italy because he was struggling with his father having abandoned us to move to Dubai. And by the way, he owes me $800,000 in past due child support. I have the second largest case. I went to Governor Cuomo at the time, and when
I'm sure that really helped.
I mean, you worked on my case with me, and
I'm sure he really helped.
Yeah, I'm looking through my documents. I flip over this one page and I see my ex-husband. Fran, I don't know if I ever told you that. They had Department of Social Services, Nassau County, which is the same corrupt organization that would go to Justina's house and check on the boys. Are you kidding me? She should be running. That woman is so brilliant. She should be running Department of Social Services. So insulting, slap in the face. They shouldn't be. It's harassment in my book. Oh, we can't give custody of the girls to their dad, Gino, or to Michael until this trial is over, until Angela's trial is over. This is federal RICO. RICO, for all of you who don't understand the terminology, the acronym is for federal crimes involving money laundering, organized crime. And if anyone for 1 minute tells me that Shannon Gilbert and the Gilgo victims, which included, by the way, men who were also murdered. One person has come forward to talk about her brother-in-law. She's trying to do, she needs a detective to help her. She thinks her brother-in-law may have been a victim of this. They were transgender, LGBT. There was a little toddler girl, which was the daughter of Peaches. They don't even know her name. They just identified her by her tattoo. They were murdered. There was jewelry found on them that resembled actually my very favorite bracelet that was stolen out of my jewelry box in March 2011 when Chris Wolf was forced to move out of our marital home after he had strangled me. And I was like, where's that bracelet? Where are my earrings? I want to give them to my daughter. And
Oh,
people are like,
right.
she's crazy. Dorothy says she works on Wall Street. She doesn't have costume jewelry. No, when I didn't get child support, but I needed to have some nice jewelry for my job on Wall Street, I bought Carol Lee jewelry at Lord and Taylor in Midtown Manhattan. And my favorite XXO pattern bracelet shows up in the Suffolk County Police evidence. Does anybody recognize this jewelry? Please contact us. So what do? I call them. I said, that's my bracelet. That actually, I'm not saying that's my bracelet. I'm saying that looks like my bracelet that was stolen out of my jewelry box.
I mean, you could probably do I don't know, but possibly if they didn't wipe it clean, you could do a thumbprint.
I often said,
Wow.
take my DNA.
This is something that we definitely need to do a second interview, another talk on this. And I'd like to bring you and Vicky out again together. I do have to wrap it because it's gone an hour and maybe 2 hours. I'm not even sure.
Right.
To leave it at, but there's so much information, Dorothy, and I really would like to. I'd like to actually get Justina back on if she's willing to do another interview, just to update the viewers and so on. But I do. You guys go back to the YouTube channel and watch the original interview with Dorothy. With Justina and Dorothy. I know you've been all over the media with this as well, and also back when we were at when we were at the Suffolk County Legislative meeting, and I was screaming and going crazy. Question came on. Sarah K, has anyone had successfully got their children back via a right of habeas corpus? People have. I don't usually do those. I'm not an attorney, but we do other stuff which I'm not going to disclose here. But yes, children have.
Right, and also for everyone to know, if you're in New York State, very quickly. So when a CPS worker or a malignant narcissist abusive parent has a child taken from a protective parent, protective parent can file what's called a 1029 in court for the return of that child. The problem we call it 1029 in New York State to return the child. Yes.
So but okay. All right.
Department of Social Services, CPS, taking a child out of a home because they say that the parent has neglected the child or abused the child, or there's no safety plan, right? You go and file a 1029 immediately, and you require a review of the accusations, of the allegations. The problem is here, they make so much money, they stretch it out, they make parents wait a year, 2 years. And meanwhile, let me tell you how many times a child in this particular case, not the Valva boys, but this other case, that child was in 7 different homes, 7 different facilities. And we found out that one of the homes, you ready for this? I'm going to blow the roof off this in Nassau County. The foster father had 8 to 10 children in his home at once, getting to $1,000 to $1,200 per child. So they pay off their mortgage, buy another place in Florida or what have you. And those children are, they have issues. They've been taking from their family. And finding out things about the way CPS doesn't even run proper background checks on foster parents.
Oh, they don't. They put them into the hands of abuse. They don't care about that. It's all scam.
People, it's not child protection.
I was telling one of my clients, one of the things people do have to do is get POA on your children and get them out of the system as quickly as possible with a trusting family member. But
they won't do that. They make so much money on these children and all the federal aid, and anyone who's listening who's aware of this, like James Kelly has done the research, Anthony Sibeli, so many other people here in New York, they get federal funding, they get incentives. And let me tell you right now, what also happens, and they say it didn't happen today, they said it actually the other day, which is it's actually a lie. CPS workers are incentivized. They get promotion.
Oh my God, they're so incentivized. It's not even funny.
Promotion and more money for trafficking children. Again, it's not child protective services, it's child predator services.
Child pedophilia.
Wrong. There are children living with a parent who's a crack addict and dangerous, with a boyfriend raping. I mean, you hear awful stories. But Justina is a protective, loving mom.
Wonderful
never should have been taken from her. Never. And here is Michael Valva paying $300 an hour to Shannon Curdy, Donna McCabe, and then Judge Lawrence, Judge Cheng, Judge Hope or Hopeless Zimmerman, and then Judge Ellen Greenberg. This is child sex trafficking.
Other one, Ellen Greenberg.
Oh man, she's still active. I am so appalled.
That blows my mind that she's still active. That one blows my mind.
I have testified before her on money laundering investigations, and she issued an order of protection to a registered child sex offender without the other party coming to court. I'm going to
Yep.
say that he an order of protection to a registered child, a
Yep.
man who attempted to rape 11 to 12-year-old girl in a sting by Nassau County. Do you think she did background check on this man? Do you think she brought
You want to know what? If they do background checks, that's why they send them, because they're sick. These are psychotic individuals. So these are psychotic individuals. Dorothy K
Crazy.
said, Dorothy, I'm sorry, Sarah K said, Dorothy,
Yes.
I do have to wrap it, guys, but Sarah K said, Dorothy, so true. My daughter Hannah is still a child slave labor by 40 plus families in 3 states, 100% illegal. It's horrible. It's just horrible.
So sorry, Sarah. And you should
Oh,
definitely,
sorry, Sarah.
it's hard. And so many of the moms or even dads, they can't afford lawyers. Some of the parents end up committing suicide. But I would suggest to you is find a lawyer who is licensed in your state, but doesn't operate in that, like, doesn't play golf with them, is not part of their stupid, I call it the stupid cocktail circuit. I mean,
Yeah.
my kids in Manhasset, it's a very well-to-do town.
Yeah.
But people are more concerned about going to cocktail hour than saving children. Are you
Too
serious?
much? I don't care.
They don't care. But unless it affects them. And by the way, they say, oh, you know what? If that child was taken from that parent, the parent must have done something wrong. No, they don't understand how false allegations,
The other way around.
coercive control, domestic violence, and again, these very moneyed, well-connected people like Michael Valva. Look at how long Michael Valva got away.
Prison. Yay. Yay. Yay.
We were all shocked that we saw the videos. We were shocked that Anthony didn't die also. Thank God. But Tommy died for us, you know, and it really moved me. After Friday night, the verdict was not read until 7:15. It was so late. And then I had a dream that Shannon Gilbert was holding Tommy in heaven.
Aww. Yeah, I believe God is doing that. I believe that. I believe that for sure. I've
never done drugs.
I know.
I have never seen cocaine in my life. And the accusations that are spewed, like I'm going after my second husband, who filed actually a false report against me to CPS. I hadn't even seen him for years. He files a false report against me. He's Mr. Joe Banker on Long Island. Thomas Spoda walks into my divorce trial, who's the Suffolk County District Attorney at the time, 2013. And I said out loud, what is Spoda doing in this courtroom? And then it started to click. That's why my husband's so protected. That's why he associates with all of these people involved in organized crime. Joseph Brewer is convicted narcotics offender.
Those are the words, organized.
Prostitutes in his house and saying, oh, I'm such a good guy. I'm a big teddy bear. Are you kidding me? Oh, by the way, a teddy bear doesn't verbally, physically, and otherwise abuse women. A teddy bear, nice guy, doesn't have child porn in his house, which the Suffolk County Police found and did not arrest him. And I'm going to leave it at that.
100%. And it's a chock full of information. And we definitely need to come back and do more with you, Dorothy. You have so much information, and I appreciate you being on. And I appreciate all the moms that are on tonight. And everyone that's watching. Don't forget, if you do need help, the link is below, punishforbeingaparent.com, the Book of Talk section for help. And that's what we're here for. So thank you so much. And yes, Stephanie, they are all extremely guilty. And again, Dorothy, thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate you coming on so late. Thank you.
It's been a long day, so I apologize. But yes, and thank you for having me. It's such an honor. And you guys can find me on Facebook. I think it's Dorothy Hill. Manhasset has been it's been my foundation. It's been so many wonderful people, my church. I mean, I would say in 2011, after I was strangled and started connecting the dots, like, why me? Like, why God? Why me? And someone said to me, because you've worked in 5 countries overseas, you've had the exposure, you've seen the court system, the law enforcement piece of it, the money laundering piece of it. So use your skills to bring it all together. And, I have to tell you, Jennifer McLogan of CBS, she pulled my arm. She kind of like pulled my arm after the verdict. She's like, come on. I need you to make a statement. I wasn't really ready, but I did say this verdict against Michael Valva on all counts. This is justice for little Tommy. And then I said, this is also going to require us to overhaul and reform CPS and the family courts. And then they asked me, what is your connection to this case?
I want to abolish. I don't want
to. And I said, I'm a child advocate, and I also do investigations of child sex trafficking.
Yes.
Can I tell you that every single mainstream media outlet, ABC, NBC, CBS,
I saw that.
They cut out child sex trafficking. Nobody ran.
Hear what they said? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No reform, abolish and defund, abolish and arrest.
Yeah.
because that's what they're doing now. You're not even allowed to say the words anymore. Imagine that one. Not on this platform. We're saying it, we're speaking it, and we're going to talk about it. Thank you guys for watching. We do have to wrap it. I'm so sorry, but it's been a great, great program tonight. And again, thank you, Dorothy, and all my guests tonight.
Thanks, Fran.